Good morning, and welcome to my holiday chat with Amy. So happy to have you here, and I hope you've been enjoying my series this holiday season. And today I was really inspired by actually yesterday's holiday because the people who were on live were asking me such great questions, and I was seeing the comments even afterwards about sales, and it was really about the top mistakes entrepreneurs make when selling, like when they're in their sales conversations. So if you missed that one, go ahead and watch yesterday's holiday. And so I thought I'd continue the conversation today in really thinking about how to sell without selling. And the reason why I bring this up is that, as I mentioned yesterday, a little bit about this, was that I noticed that when people go from being their authentic selves to being in a sales conversation, suddenly they're a totally different person. So when you can really learn how to not be salesy or be a different person in your enrollment conversations than who you already naturally are, it becomes much, much easier. So I wanted to share a quick story with you. I remember when I was first going into sales, so I'm going to take you back in time. So I worked in the local radio here in the Seattle area. I worked in media for about 15 years, and the first 9 of those years I worked in broadcast media and radio. So I worked for a company that had 5 radio stations for the first 7 years, and then I went to another company for 2 years that had another 5 radio stations. So for those of you who don't know the industry, usually the radio stations are owned by much bigger corporations, and they're in clusters in each market. So all that being said, I initially worked, I went into the radio world thinking, as an early 20-something, I want to have my own show, which is kind of funny now that I'm saying that, my Facebook Live show. And, but once I really realized what that looked like, I was like, I don't know if I want to be in a soundproof box and playing music and, having it all programmed out for me. And so I thought, I don't think that this is really what I want to do. But where the fun was in promotions and marketing. So I worked my way into the promotions and marketing department and did so many cool things, from being at live concerts and going backstage and hosting movie premieres and putting on big events with the radio station. And anywhere there was something happening, the radio station was there with our booth and our music and a live broadcast, and we had a great time. And at the same time, sadly, usually in promotions, at least back then, the payment was not very high. The income was not very high. And you work crazy hours. It's a super fun job. But usually around the 3 to 4 year mark, if you're at a really busy radio station with lots of promotions, you hit a burnout. So what I did was I thought, I love this industry, but I want more time and money freedom, which is funny because I believe that that's what most entrepreneurs want. And what I noticed was that the account executives that were in sales were leaving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Fridays in their BMWs, and they had their weekends free unless they were visiting a client for a live broadcast event. And I was like, they've got a sweet life. They still work in the radio world, but they're in advertising sales and they're working with clients and they're helping them grow. I thought, that sounds amazing. So I put my name in the hat. I said, I want to go into sales. And here's what happened. The sales manager who was like, yeah, I could totally see that you could be good in sales. And so he went around and talked to other people in the building who've worked with me, and just to check in with them. He was really confident in me, but he was like, what do you think about Amy? And I was like little Amy back then. And overall, there was positive feedback. Okay, they're like, oh yeah, she'd be great. She's good with people, that kind of thing. But there were a few people who said, yeah, I really like Amy, but I don't know if she has the backbone for sales. I don't know if she can handle it because she's so nice and she just doesn't want to upset anybody. She's kind of a people pleaser. And he gave me that feedback. And I was like, what? I can do this. I can totally do this. And at the same time, I'm sure the reason why I was triggered by that is that I believed what they were saying. What if I'm not cut out for this? And I went for it anyway. And what's great is that I learned. It wasn't like I knocked it out of the ballpark right away. I remember the first phone call I had with a media buyer. So in radio advertising sales, you work both with direct clients, local businesses, and then you work with media buyers in big markets, and they do the negotiations for their clients. So I got this great training from both working directly with the decision makers and then with media buyers. And I'll just never forget how these media buyers would chew me up and spit me out. And I was like, oh my gosh, why are they treating me this way? And that's just the world that I lived in. But what I decided at that point, so a few points I want to make about this. First of all, I didn't let feedback get to me about what other people were saying. Like, I don't know if she'll be good at sales, or I don't know if she can handle it. I was like, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to rock it out. And it wasn't that it worked out great at the beginning, but I just did it anyway. And I just got started. And every single conversation I had, whether it was with a local business or a marketing director of a local business, like an owner, marketing director, C-level person, or if I was working with media buyers that were representing much bigger corporations, every single conversation, I got to learn what was important to them and how I could provide a solution. That was it. And it's no different than being an entrepreneur. And the key thing is, over the years, I learned that instead of learning all these tactics, like old school sales tactics, which give salespeople and selling a bad name, I got to focus on serving and being solution oriented. And also just being myself. And so people would say to me, oh yeah, good luck calling on that ad agency. They're not going to buy from you, or they're not going to place an ad campaign with you. When I worked at Warm 106.9 Radio, which is a top ranked station for women here in the greater Seattle area. And I was like, just because they haven't placed an ad campaign on my station before does not mean that they won't do it now, because I'm going to build a relationship. I'm going to deeply connect with them. I'm going to find out what's important to them and make it happen. Like it's going to be a win-win. I'm also not going to roll over and do whatever they want, because that's what sometimes the buyers would expect from me. And I was like, just because I'm in competition with 30 other radio stations in this market, let alone all the other markets, does not mean that I can't win. So I just did things to show them I was willing to go above and beyond, but I'm still here to be respected. So I'm just telling you, it was such a great training experience. And now I use everything I learned from that experience, as well as what I've learned as an entrepreneur, on how to sell without selling, and focus more on connecting and building relationships to see what's important to the buyer. And in this case, in the entrepreneurial space, your buyer is whoever your buyer is, right? The customer, the client. And I was thinking about this morning. A lot of entrepreneurs are like, I just want to help people. I just want to serve. And when they say that, what I'm hearing them say is that they just want to focus on the fulfillment part of what they offer and not the marketing and the sales. And what I want to say to them and to you, if this resonates with you, is that you still get to serve in the marketing and the sales elements, the steps to onboard a client. And I think what gets backed up is that they just want to fulfill over here, but in the marketing and sales, they get all backed up and they're like, who am I to think that I can do this? Who's going to pay for my programs, or, come to my events? And I just want to say, okay, let's just take a deep breath, because what you've created is amazing. And if you're not enrolled in what you've created, then take a little more time over here to think about what you've created and enroll yourself first. Like, get really excited about what it is you're up to in the world. And if it's not quite there, add some more value. Just add more value. Do you want to create a premium product? You've got to have the value. Don't just slap a price tag on something because you want to make more money. Add more value, and people will invest in whatever it is you're selling. So I just wanted to really have a conversation with all of you about that, because so often I find that people are struggling in sales and all sorts of things come up within them. It's like they let themselves get triggered, and I'm no different. I've had those moments. I still have those moments. I do. And at the same time, what keeps me moving forward is that I'm committed to my vision of making a difference for entrepreneurs everywhere and helping them to make the impact and the income they've always wanted. And my genius spot, like this is where you can find your genius, is all in words and messaging and deep connection. That's it. And I found that when I've really honed in on my super niche and let people know that this is my area, that if they're struggling with their ultimate marketing message that's going to land with their ideal clients and make a difference for them and help them generate the revenue they want to generate for themselves, their loved ones, their team, if they want a team, or if they want to grow a really big business, it starts here. It starts from the heart center. So I just want to see who's on. Hey, Susie. Hi, Dinah. Hi, Olga. Hey, Norma. Hi, Aziz. So thank you for joining me. So I just want to know, like, if you have any questions about sales, if you're in sales right now, like, where do you get stuck? This is your chance to get some free coaching from me. This is an area that I absolutely love. Some people are like, I hate sales. I'm like, I love it, because to me, it's not about selling. It's about connecting, and it's about making a difference. It's about providing a service and providing a solution. So I'm just giving you this moment while I sip my coffee to think about where you are in your journey as an entrepreneur and think about what stops you in your selling process. Like, where do you get backed up? Is it getting people on the phone? Is it in handling objections? What is it? And I put everybody on the spot. And everyone's like, I don't know, let me think about this. Hey, Christy, thank you for joining. Christy, when do we get to meet in person? I remember talking to Christy, and you were hoping to come to the Zone event, but you weren't able to. Okay, Susan, okay, sip of coffee. Oh, I forgot, before I do that. You know, I've been all in my holiday spirit, so there's been days that some of you have seen me in like really tacky, ugly Christmas sweaters. I'm like, you know, if I'm really on brand, I like to class it up a little bit. And so I thought I'd wear a nice dress, and you know, but today I thought, since I'm wearing my green dress, I thought I'd show you my green. Aren't these so fun? But wait, there's more. I don't know if you can see the lights, the little blinking lights. Anyway, so I just wanted to do a little fashion show. Okay, so the question, Susan said, recently changed niches, for those of you who are fancy. So I'm finding my sea legs with getting new leads. Okay. So, Susan, if you have a question, go ahead and post that. Hey, Christy. Two Christys, Christy O'Connell, Christy Westerfield. Okay, so if you have any questions on sales, where you're getting stuck in your sales, this is a good chance to post it. What other thoughts do I have about selling without selling? So when I initially get on a call with somebody, I always think about like, just taking a moment before I get on the call. Some of you, if you've heard me coach this before, you've heard me say this before, but I really think I just get centered. Like, I really get centered with myself. And I think, okay, well, I do have my own goals in my business, and I'm excited to achieve these goals. I'm not attached to whether or not this particular person I'm about to talk to steps into my program. Because if I get all into attachment, then that energy is going to come through in my conversation, and I'm making it about me versus being completely in service to them. So when I come in with that energy of, I am here to help you, and I'm here to listen, like actively listen about where it is that you want to go, and what challenges are you facing, and what's really coming up for you, then like if I'm not in that spirit, then I'm making it about me. And in a conversation like that, I like to create like a safe space for someone to be totally open. I was talking to an entrepreneur, I was coaching an entrepreneur the other day, and she was saying to me, she's like, yeah, I get on these phone calls with people and we have a great conversation, but at the end of it, they're like, yeah, I'll think about it. And I mean, even in her energy telling me about what was happening on the calls, I'm like, your energy is not going deep enough. You're not deeply connecting enough with the people you're talking to. And as soon as they get to the point of resistance, you're not standing for their vision. So if you've taken the time during your enrollment conversation, where, you know, when I say enrollment, and some of you have done some training around enrollment versus sales, enrollment is really about opening up a space to find out what is their vision. You're actually not even enrolling them in what you're selling. You're like deepening their belief system in what's possible for them. And when you can do that, when you can show them what's possible for them, then you could say, like, when they're telling you their vision, this is like a golden nugget, like I'm telling you. So if you can go deep enough to where you can hear their vision to the point where you feel it inside, like you actually get the chills visualizing their vision with them. I mean, that's magic right there. Like when you can actually see it with and for them and see what's possible. Sometimes what people need is for someone else to believe in them and with them. You know, like we're just like, you know what? And hearing what you're talking about, when you hear their passion, you feel it. Like when I can actually see it for them, I say those words to them where I'm like, I can really feel this. Like I can feel your passion. I could see you doing this. I feel like this is something you've probably been even thinking about for years. I'm like, yeah, I have. And so you start to feel that deeper connection with them. I love it in a conversation with someone, and maybe I'm sure some of you felt this before, where you get to a point where you feel so connected that both of you get the chills at the same time. Like that, I had a conversation like that with a woman yesterday. We were talking about, I mean, we had so many connecting points. Like she's interested in Powerhouse. She's like, oh my gosh, it totally resonates with me. You resonate with me. And she told me a story about when she went to Hawaii and how she has, a lot of people, I think, myself included, you go to Hawaii, you just feel like you're connected with the islands, And she said she saw these beautiful sea turtles, and she's like, sea turtles are my spirit animal. And she started to take these photos of these sea turtles, and she started posting them, and people started asking her how they can get those printed. Like, they wanted her prints to put in their homes. And so part of what she does now is photography in, you know, in an area in nature and with animals like that she loves. And she just has this connection with Hawaii. And so I'm in a sales conversation, like, you know, it's a strategy call, it's a sales, like, but I was, you know, I always use this chance to help people, and I listen for specific things, because if I believe that, here's another key thing. If I believe, so if you believe, right? If I believe that what I have to offer will help them get to where they want to go, then I will make the offer. If I don't believe that they're the right fit, and I don't believe that what I'm offering is going to help them get to their vision, then I won't make the offer. But in these conversations, I'm committed no matter what to helping them make a difference. And I love to see where we connect. So I listen for specific things. I listen to, like, where do we connect? Because clearly we're on this phone call, we're in this conversation for a reason. And I always find a point of connection. Like, I listen for what we have in common. What experiences have we had in our lives that we have in common? What personality traits do we have that are like something? I always know there's something, no matter how different someone is from me. And with this woman, there were so many things. I mean, she was talking about Hawaii and how that shifted her. And I told her the story of when I went to Hawaii, and some of you have heard the story, where it was about 4 or 5 months after my mom passed away. And my dear friend Tara, who lived on Oahu at the time for a few years. Her husband was in the military, so she and her husband and her 2 kids moved there for a few years, and he was stationed there. And we would talk often while my mom was in the hospital and after she passed. And Tara said to me, she said, you know, you've been taking care of everyone else and everything else, and you've gone through this big loss in your life. Why don't you come to Hawaii and let me take care of you for a week, where you don't have to worry about anything? I still get chills thinking about that phone call, because it was such a gift of generosity and compassion and love, and just the way in which she worded it was like, just come here and I'll take care of you for a week. And that's what she did. I just felt like, oh my gosh, this is such a gift. And I flew over to Hawaii, to Oahu. It was March of 2011. And as soon as I saw her at the airport when she picked me up, I was just tears, you know. It was just an incredible moment. And every day we would wake up and we'd go work out. And her husband was working, so we'd pack the Jeep with, you know, a picnic and our kids, and we'd go off to some remote beach away from all the tourist attractions. And I felt like I could breathe again. You know, I felt like, okay, you know, life continues after a loss, and I can breathe again. And I'm so grateful for this friend of mine who's given me this gift. And I had this moment where I was standing on the North Shore of Oahu, looking out at the ocean, and I had this vision. You know, when you just have one of those visions that comes to you as if it has already happened, like it's almost like a memory. And I just had this vision of like hosting these retreats. I was like, I want to offer this feeling of peace and compassion to other women, like men too, but other women. Like I just had this vision of these retreats. And it was like the whole thing came together, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And I raced over to Tara. She was kind of off in the distance with her kids on the beach. And I was like, Tara, I just had this huge vision that came to me, and I'm going to host retreats. Like, I'm just going to do this. Like, I can see it. I can see how magical it would be. I can see how it can provide like a sacred space for women to like have their breakthroughs. And if they need any healing, great. But, you know, and at the time it was a little bit more like vague about what the theme would be, but I just knew in my heart that this was happening. And 11 months later, I hosted my first retreat with one of my very dear friends, Katie Wygant, and we hosted a handful of them, and they were magical. They were magical. And then we shifted to doing more like online things, and she focused on her business and I focused on mine. We're still very, very, like, she's one of my best friends to this day. And, but what's wild is that now it's come full circle where once again, I'm hosting these retreats on a much bigger level. Like, Powerhouse is huge, and I visualize what it's going to be like when we're there, and even the women who are already enrolled in this amazing program are so excited to be a part of it, and they're already making progress in their businesses because we've started some like early jumpstart calls on this, and it's amazing how things can come full circle. So as I was on this sales conversation call yesterday, that's what we were talking about, was our experiences in Hawaii. And we got chills like multiple times in the conversation because there were so many connection points. I could relate to her experience there, and she could relate to mine. And that's what it's about. It's not about selling. It's about connecting. It's about listening. It's about finding what you have in common. How can you relate to this person? And there's always some place in their story and in your story that there is a connection point. When you find it and you share that moment and you can have that conversation, it's incredible. Like, you actually feel like you can talk to that person for hours. I do anyway. So I just invite you to try that. You know, if you don't feel authentically you when you're in an enrollment conversation or sales conversation, strategy call, discovery call, just take a deep breath, get centered, and instead of thinking, I have to make a sale, think, I get to make a difference. I get to connect with this person, whether it's someone you've known from before or a totally new person, and you may only talk to that person one time in your entire life, just once. So why would you not make it count? Like, no matter what. That gives me chills. Like, everything that each of us did to get to this point, like every single experience that each of us had got us to this phone call or this Skype call or this in-person meeting or this Zoom call, whatever. And we may never cross paths again, because ultimately maybe we'll choose not to work together, and that's totally okay. But how cool is it that in this one moment in our journeys of our lives, we cross paths? And so that's why I'm so committed. Like, why would I not be committed to connecting with them, to being compassionate, to being a loving human being, and finding out what is it that they want, and if there's anything that I can do to help them get there. Even if it has nothing to do with my offerings, it's totally fine. I'm like, I'll connect you with this person, or you know what, I would recommend that you do this. And what happens with that, it just creates a really beautiful ripple effect. So, hi Fidel, hi Carol, thank you for joining. Okay, Susan says, how do you take a community as you rebrand and change and inspire them to stay with you? Oh, Susan, you've asked me a great question, because I've done exactly that. So just even as recent as 3 to 4 years ago, I did the exact same thing. Like, some of you know, I had 2 businesses and a bunch of side projects. So I was juggling. I was the juggler. I loved everything I was doing, but I had so many things going on. Actually, I see Devaney's watching right now. She saw me through this whole transition of like experimenting and trying to figure it out. So, but if you're shifting from one to another, if you're rebranding from one to another, so what I did was I actually, the first time I did like an email list build, I built it for my other company that I co-owned with Katie, the one that I did my retreats with, and we ran an online program that was like wellness and abundance. It was pretty broad, but we did run a really special program. We had a lot of fun with it. And then after that program wrapped up, we both wanted to shift into, like, I really organically, my business coaching and mentoring program and business, it was just taking off. And she was focusing on, growing her family. Oh, sorry, I just paused for some reason. So anyway, so what I did, here's what I did, Susan, was I thought, okay, I worked really hard to build this initial list, and I have all this stuff out there that promotes both businesses and what I'm doing. So it's all about connection and storytelling. So for the people who had been following me all along, I just thought, I'm just going to take those who want to come with me. I'm not forcing anyone to come with me. And I did it through the power of storytelling. So with my emails to my list, with my social media, with my own voice and having conversations with people, I would share with them. I was like, organically my business coaching is taking off. And I've learned so much from launching these 2 businesses, plus all these, side gigs and projects I was doing. I've learned so much from this, plus my career, that I've decided to use everything and pour all my energy here and even help people to grow their businesses. So I did a lot of storytelling, and as I started telling people stories, people started asking me questions. So then I got to tell new stories like, wow, so many entrepreneurs are asking me how I've done this. So I'm excited to launch my new program. So you see what I'm saying? So storytell, just be your authentic self. It's like life, we don't stay stagnant in one place our entire life. It's ever flowing. So when you tell stories in an organic way and not apologize for it, like I could have easily said, well, we decided not to continue on with that business or that brand or whatever. Like, I focus on the positive. Like, that was an amazing experience. I learned so much from it. I had so much fun. I wouldn't change it for anything. And here's where I'm heading. I'm using everything that I've learned, and here's where I'm going. If you want to come with me, come with me. If not, that's okay. Totally fine. Does that help? Let's see. Devaney, love the holiday decor. Oh yeah, Devaney, I don't know if you jumped on, so if you didn't see, because every once in a while I have to be a little bit, Seriously, oh, somebody made fun of me like recently because I said, seriously, we need to have fun. And then she was laughing because I said seriously and fun. Anyway, so, but don't we get to just have fun? These are really fun with their little blinking light. Wait, is it blinking? Yeah, you can kind of see it if it's blinking, yeah. So we get to have fun. And if you've been watching my holiday dailies, every once in a while I'll even I'll wear a tacky, ugly Christmas sweater, which I've never done, but I thought, you know what? So I just get to let go, have fun, dress it up. So much fun. Norma says, I'm so with you. I have such similar visions, and I too found my big parts of soul in Hawaii. Yes, Norma, you also are one of Tara's best friends. So you know her huge heart. Devorah. Hey, Devorah. Hi, Kiran. Oh, thank you. Hey, Ken. Ken, my heart. I just love it when you're on here supporting me. It's so awesome. So yeah, I have time for another question or two. So if you have any questions when it comes to your sales conversations, or if there's anything else that you've been wanting to ask me about where you are in your business, where you want to go, maybe it's something you're focusing on today even, or maybe you want a pep talk. Like every once in a while my clients will call me like, can you just give me like a few minute pep talk? Because I'm feeling stuck right now. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Anyone? Questions? Lisa. Hey, Lisa. How can I get better with getting credit card numbers on the phone? Great question. Okay. I just ask. So what I do is I love it when I collect a credit card number on the phone, because that tells me that they're in. Like that. So anyone can say, oh yeah, I'm in, and then say, okay, great, well, we'll send you the contract or send you the, registration page or what have you. But sometimes between them saying yes and then receiving your email, even if there's only a few minutes in between, their mindset goes, uh-oh, maybe I shouldn't, and all their stuff comes up, all the resistance that can come up within anybody. So what I do is, first of all, when you're on the phone with someone that you know is the right fit and you've had the conversation and they've said yes, they're like, yes, I'm totally in, great. Just naturally go into, great, what credit card would you like to use? Like it's no big deal, because it really isn't. Think about any time you purchase anything. If you're at Nordstrom about to buy a cute new pair of boots, which I think that's in my head right now, I want to go shopping, and you're at the cash register and they're like, okay, great, what credit card do you want to use? You'll be like, let me think about it. Can I get back to you later? Like, it's just like a purchase, It's like if they've decided yes, if they're really in yes, then just say, great, what credit card would you like to use? And so, people like to be led and people like to be guided. So when you are standing in your power and you're confident and you have a process of onboarding a client, so that could be a whole other Facebook Live, by the way. But if you have a process of onboarding your client, then when they say yes, immediately you should be going right into that if that's your onboarding process. Great, what credit card would you like to use? And then you take down their information, and then you have your system of how you set up their payments. Does that help? And if there's something specific that's coming up, like let me know. Like if you're like, well, when I ask them, I get uncomfortable, or they say, well, can I get back to you? Like if you can give me a little bit more specific about what's coming up for you or them in that point of the conversation, that would be helpful. This is something that I was just thinking about this the other day. Okay, let me see what you said. Oh, the Nordstrom analogy is super helpful. Obviously, I'm expected to pay. Yeah, right? Yeah, so I believe that sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get caught up in our heads when we're asking for a credit card number, and maybe it's because we still have some self-doubt or limiting belief about making sales. So as soon as somebody says yes, we're almost like, oh my gosh, they said yes. What do I do? Can I get your credit card number? It's like, just be calm, collected. I even have heard, I remember somebody saying to me once, like, don't get emotional either way. Like, not in a bad way, but just like if somebody says yes, I'm like, oh my God, you said yes. Like it's, a surprise to you. Hopefully, if you really believe you're going to make a difference for them, you're like, great, chill out. Just like, great, which credit card would you like to use? And if they say no, like this, do you see what I'm saying? Don't let your emotions go sideways either way. Just be cool about it. Like, great, what credit card would you like to use? And I'm like, oh, okay, people like to be led. Lisa says, I have a hard time getting them past the line. Yes, I'm in. Then I'm like, okay, great, I'll email you. Okay, so just shift your next sentence. So they say yes, say great, just shift the sentence. Great, what credit card would you like to use? That's it. And they'll say, okay, and here's another key thing. This is for all of you. Anytime you ask a question and then be quiet. It's one of the biggest lessons I learned back in my advertising sales days, because too often I think either salespeople or entrepreneurs may be nervous when asking a question. They'll say, great, well, which credit card would you like to use? Because if you give me your credit card, it's like, you just asked a question. The point of asking a question is to leave space for them to answer. Say, great, what credit card would you like to use? Silence. Like, let them be the first to make the next noise, like say something, okay? Awesome. Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna wrap this one up. If you have any other questions, go ahead and post them below. If you found this helpful, I invite you to click on that share button and post your own personal note of what your biggest takeaway was, or why you love Holi Daily Chat with Amy, something so that if you believe that this will make a difference for your circle of influence, then you can say something about it. And you never know, something that I said may have landed with them and they might really improve their sales. So I invite you to click on that share button, and just remember that during this holiday season, I'm doing Holi Daily Chat with Amy, 9 a.m. Pacific, weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific. The next 2 days, I actually have 2 special guests that are going to be subbing in for me. And one of them is Jackie Cote, who is incredible. She's in my mastermind, and she helps you to get on media, how to get on TV, how to reach millions and go viral. She is fantastic at that. And then I also have my very dear Susan Brennan, who is a coach that works alongside me in my company. She's such just a love and a delightful person. She's all about gratitude and really breathing life into your bigger vision. So even though I will not be here, I'll be leading my 2-day mastermind for my Coaching Masters Academy students. I'm so excited to see them all fly in from all over. And so I do invite you to still join me, join my wonderful colleagues who are going to be leading this call the next 2 days. And then I will be back here on Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific to serve you, answer your questions, and really help you to finish the year strong and also set yourself up for an awesome, awesome 2018. All right, sending much love to all of you, and I will talk to you soon.